is going on, people in the LBT? Jesse504 here, bringing you guys your Week 4 feature match where Liam's 3-0 Belfast Frostbite are taking on Monster Mashers 1 and 2 Fallarbor Flames, and it's a great match. Why I picked it, one of the better ones that we've seen thus far. And they both have really threatening teams to go over. First, Monster Mashers team. Megalatias, Magirna, Celesteela, Cresselia, Galarian Corsola, Incineroar, Decidueye, Zygarde Complete, Alomomola, Raikou, and Lycanroc. Exact same thing as last week. And it's like just really threatening stall pieces and just nice cleaners to sort of finish that off once the stall is done in Magirna and Latias Mega. So those are both really annoying threats to have to prep for every week. And then the Belfast Frostbite. Liam's team, Mega Tyranitar, Zamazenta, Latias, Gliscor, Scolipede, Cloyster, Rotom-Mow, Arceus Fire, Xerneas, Bronzong, and Archeops. So three really scary mons in Arceus Fire, Xerneas, and Zamazenta. Zamazenta is the kill leader at this point, so that's really threatening to have to deal with. Mega Tyranitar and Latias are both really threatening as well. This team is almost hyper offense with the Scolipede there to pass, and then the lower tiers kind of acting as the bulky support mons that the team needs to sort of do work really well every single week. And starting off with Liam's team this week, he's bringing a Toxic Heal Gliscor with Roost, Knockoff, Taunt, and Earthquake. Pretty standard Gliscor set. I'm going to be there to sort of heal up, get rid of items. Taunt things are really nice because Liam has sort of stall mons, and he also has setup sweepers, and Taunt really disrupts pretty much every mon on his team. So that's a really, really good bring. And then EQ, great stab, can also do work against the Magirna, and that's really important. Cloyster, obviously, or not obviously, but it looks like a solid lead, and physical wall, T-Spike Spikes, Icicle Spear, Rapid Spin. So yeah, it might be a designated lead, just try to hazard stack on one of Monster's more vulnerable mons, but at the same time, maybe if Monster leads Magirna, just reading that, I don't know why he would, I don't think that anyone would, but if he just led Magirna and started going, that could have been a problem. Mega Tyranitar, Crunch, EQ, Dragon Dance, Thunder Punch, very solid. Thunder Punch for the Celesteela. I don't know if this thing gets Ice Punch. Maybe hitting the Zygarde would be more important, but still solid. I think this is where Liam kind of wanted to go in the end game to win, was this Tyranitar. Yeah, I don't blame him. It's really solid. Just as a great way to win. Hits Monster's team really hard everywhere, so that's just really nice. Next up, Arceus Fire. I really like that against the Celesteela and Magirna this week. Yeah, I mean, that's the only Arceus he can use, but yeah, Arceus Fire is really solid, and having that, plus Ice Beam, it hits the dragons and it hits the steels, which is kind of what Monster's team is sort of based off of. So being able to do that is really, really nice for Liam. And Bronzong sort of there as utility, block plus Toxic. That could be really nice to Toxic stall one of his mons, and then Body Press, Iron Defense. This Bronzong, I really like it. I really want to see what it can do during the battle. I hope it can show off its tech. And then lastly, we have the Latias, just standard Latias, Scarf, Draco Meteor, Trick, Ice Beam, and Wish. So I assume you're going to Wish up once you trick away that Scarf. And tricking away that Scarf to something that doesn't really want it, like one of Monster's stall mons, is really nice. So I feel like Liam prepped for the stall really well. But now if we go to Monster's team this week, you see the Latias, pretty standard. Psychic, Ice Beam, Roost, and Surf. Yeah, not really too much to note there, but it's just really standard. Psychic, Ice Beam, and Surf hit Liam's team really hard everywhere, and then can Roost back up the damage. Celesteela, Toxic, Heavy Slam, Leech Seed, and Flamethrower. That seems alright. Flamethrower, I assume, is for the Bronzong it can do work against, Rotom-Mow it can do work against, and Scolipede it can do work against. I have to assume that Monster's pretty afraid of Scolipede just passing speed because his team kind of has a lot of things that can pretty easily just get set up and passed on. So that's going to be pretty annoying. Alomomola, standard Alomomola, Scald, Wish, Toxic Protect, not really too much to see there. Doing good damage is great with Toxic, and then being able to Wish the team back up with its high HP stat is really nice. Um, Decidueye, Swords Dance Baton Pass, knockoff Defog. I find that as a really nice set. Passing Swords Dances into the Zygarde, I assume, is the end game play there. And then knockoff and Defog are pretty solid options. Just Defog for hazards are pretty helpful when Liam has such great options for them. And then knockoff is really nice for items, just getting rid of them on some of the mons that are sort of great breakers. So that's really important. And then here are like the two things that he's probably going to win with, being this Zygarde with the AV, sort of meant to catch it off guard, something off guard, and then just win. 1,000 arrows, Iron Tail, Crunch, and Outrage. So this thing does great if it is past some attack. That's really helpful for it. And obviously Zygarde could set up on its own, but what's the fun of that? Make something else set up for it, and this thing can just damage the entire opposing team super duper hard. And then lastly, this Magearna set, I like it. Shift gear. Once you get shift geared up, you're pretty much set to win with Dazzling Gleam or Searing Ice Beam. That's really all you need. So yeah, these teams are both prepped really well, and it's just going to come down to coach battling in the end, which team can win. I don't really see on paper right now just one side being exceptionally favored. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the battle. Alrighty, so let's get into this battle. The things that I see from both sides for the lead matchup. Monster doesn't really have a designated lead, so my best guess for him would be to counter lead what I would expect Liam to lead, which would probably be the Gliscor. So I could see a nice, I could see a probably Alomomola lead or a Celesteela lead if I was Monster Masher. And then from Liam, he has a seemingly dedicated lead in Cloyster. So yeah, that's what I would expect for the lead matchup, and let's see how I do. Celesteela against the Cloyster, yeah, it's about accurate. And then Toxic Spikes being set up, really helpful. Monster doesn't have a grounded poison, so being able to set those up is really nice. But at the same time, the Celesteela can kind of just get things going, but Cloyster is able to just set things up really nicely. And yeah, it's not really at too much of a disadvantage. I think maybe Flamethrower could have been doing more, because Cloyster is just so physically bulky. Even if Heavy Slam is stab, it's just Cloyster has a lot of physical bulk and maybe a little less special bulk. But yeah, so we see these things get set up. This Cloyster could have Rapid Spun out of the Leech Seed. That could have been an interesting play, but yeah, the Flamethrower does do more. So we see that, and so at this point, you gotta wonder if trading your Cloyster for 2 layers of spikes and T-Spikes is worth it. I would say it is, so I would just let the Cloyster, yeah, the Cloyster goes down. There it goes. And now you can bring in your Arceus and Celesteela. You could stay in, but you just take a Judgment and you die. But at the same time, switching into Alomomola and taking all that spikes damage couldn't be the best play, especially when you have your Defogger. And yeah, so this Latias just does big damage to pretty much anything on the team. So we see that Bronzong just take not that much because it is Spadef invested. But here comes this Decidueye. Colbur Berry is really interesting for Tyranitar, I assume. Yeah, so we see this thing defog away those hazards, so now the Cloyster almost feels a little bit wasted. All you did was a little bit of chip to the Decidueye. And then block. I don't really know how block works. So I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know why exactly it would fail. But at the same time, yeah. Okay, so now we see this Decidueye get set up. And it's time to abuse Baton Pass into the Zygarde, which is really solid. This Bronzong is getting set up with Iron Defenses, though. And we see that 1,000 arrows, it'll ground it, but yeah. So getting the Toxic off on this thing is fairly important just because it is so bulky. But at the same time, you gotta wonder if Body Press would have done more. Damage rolls kind of didn't work in favor. Okay, but now the Zygarde is trapped in. Yeah, okay, so the damage rolls didn't really work in the favor, but switching out into Gliscor, clearly he values having his Bronzong out for later, which is really important. And then at this point, the Zygarde is getting awful close to being in its big form. So that's going to be really interesting to see, because at this point, Zygarde's going to go big, be at a lot of health, and still have a lot of damage to do. So, because at this point, we see that, yeah, you probably have to lose at least one more thing to be able to beat this thing down. Um, However, he does have some ice prep, including this Arceus, but this is a big Zygarde with an assault vest. It's about, I'm not really sure if it lives or not, but yeah, it does live by 16% decent. So you have to sacrifice that Arceus, but at this point I think that AV definitely wasn't something that Liam was really looking at. So I don't blame him, but yeah, getting that Arceus out of the way means that kind of some of the biggest threats to the team are now gone. Um, Obviously, Liam didn't prep with his other Ubers. He just didn't think that they had the good matchup. I don't blame him. When you have a Magearna sitting right there, that kind of stomps on them. Um, Draco Meteor, the Scarf Latias, but the Mega was able to take it and Ice Beam it back. Obviously, this thing doesn't have any Dragon Stab on it. So, yeah, so you see the Alomomola come in because you don't want to lose your Latias when it can heal back up with Roost later, but it can't really Roost up in front of this Dracoing Latias. So, if I were Liam, I'd maybe try to pull a double, but I don't really, or not pull a double, but switch into something, try to catch monsters switching, or you can just try to drop a Draco on that thing again. Missing is unfortunate, but at the same time, I don't really know how much that did, if it really had an impact in the end. It sucks, definitely. It always sucks to miss. But I'm not really sure if that really made an impact. So Scald, Monster Masher, he is the god of Scald burning, but that's really unfortunate for this T-Tar, which could have fired off a Thunder Punch for really big damage. Obviously, the Alomomola would have lived, but still, that really sucks with the Scald burn. So now he goes out into the Latias, and Monster can Scald again. Just fairly simple. Spreading Toxic might have been the play at this point, but tricking it a Scarf, which is really annoying for, yeah, okay, so now he goes for the Toxic. Yeah, that's probably what I would have done. But now this Alomomola sort of stuck in Scarfed, so at this point I would maybe sack off the Decidueye. He does. But this Latias reveals the Wish, so that could have been big, maybe trying to almost save this game for him. But unfortunately, Latias is going to end up, or Decidueye is going to end up going down. But Latias kind of at this point is, I don't know if we've seen all the moves. We have seen all the moves. Monster can safely deduce that now is the time for the Magearna to come in, because this thing has nothing to hit it, and just set up and win. So, yeah, this is pretty much good game from the moment that this Magearna was sent out. Shift geared up, and yeah, this thing can't get toxic. So, yeah, Aura Sphere, take out the Bronzong, and then you get your Soul Heart going, and yeah. So, fairly well played battle from both sides. Not really too much to knock. And I really like how Monster was able to identify at the end when it was time for the Magearna to come in and win, which he did correctly, and which really just ultimately set him up to win perfectly, making the sacrifices early game that he did to put him into a great position to win later. But Magearna kind of, once that Arceus went down, it was really pretty much set up to win from there. It was just a matter of waiting for the right opportunity, which, yeah, he waited, he was patient, and he ended up doing it. So, good job to Monster on a well-played battle, and Liam, it was fun to watch from both sides. These people are both on my schedule, so it's going to be a really tough couple of weeks. I have sort of a really tough final 4 weeks to close out the season. It's going to be interesting to see how I do, if I can make playoffs or not. But it'll be fun, and until next time, Jesse504, out.